Tim Kaine, you remember him. He's a senator from Virginia. Hillary chose him back in 2016 to be Tim Walz, basically. You know, some mamby-pamby, somewhat ambiguous white dude who can talk like a white dude to not scare away white dudes from voting for Hillary Clinton. I mean, that's what Tim Walz was supposed to do for Kamala Harris. Didn't work out. Ditto Tim Kaine. He's still the Democrat senator from Virginia. And because of that, well, his voice and his influence in Virginia politics, it really, well, carries some weight. So he was asked about Jay Jones, the nominee for Attorney General, who, of course, we've learned now from text messages just a couple of years ago, had murderous fantasies about putting 2 bullets into the skull of the Republican leader of the House of Delegates. Let's not forget the context. He was angry at Mr. Todd Gilbert, the Speaker of the House, because he had nice things to say about a Democrat at his funeral. Yeah, literally. Jay Jones was pissed off because a Republican eulogized a Democrat at his funeral. And so he fantasized about the murder of that guy and his wife and children. What a guy. Well, here's what happened when Tim Kaine was asked whether he supports Jay Jones after this scandal.
Senator, do you still support Jay Jones? You do. What do you do? You think he should drop out of this race after those comments? I just answered your question. You have concerns about what you saw?
The comments are completely indefensible. I've known Jay Jones for 25 years, and those comments are very much out of character for him. So if I put the comments, which are clearly beyond the pale, against knowing this guy for 25 years, I'm still a supporter of Jay Jones.
Okay, so I don't know if you could hear all that, and don't worry, we've got another video where they caught up to him in the hallways of the Senate, and I got it a little clearer. But he said what Jay Jones said was reprehensible, but I've known him for 25 years, and I know that in his heart he's a good man. All right, he's known him for 25 years. Tim Kaine has known Jay Jones for 25 years. Jay Jones is 36 years old. Tim Kaine claims that he has known Jay Jones since he was 11 years old. That's weird. I mean, that's more than weird. That's kind of creepy. I think that requires a follow-up as well. All right, so later they caught up with Tim Kaine in the Senate.
Do you think Jay Jones should drop out of the race in Virginia?
Jay has apologized. The statements that he made were indefensible, but I've known Jay Jones for 25 years. I think those statements were not in character, and he has apologized. I wish other people in public life would sincerely apologize for stuff. So no, I still am a supporter.
When you say other people in public life, do you mean your son, who is literally a convicted Antifa felon? Yeah, his son's an Antifa kid. Doing a great job there at home. Maybe because he was so busy 25 years ago hanging out with some 11-year-old named Jay Jones, he didn't pay attention to his own child. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I mean, it's hard to put the pieces together here. But that's fine. That's where Tim Kaine stands on the Jay Jones story. And every single Democrat in Virginia has said pretty much the exact same thing. He's lost the endorsement of one organization, and they deserve some credit. Brady PAC, that's a political action committee that gives money to anti-Second Amendment candidates. Yeah, it seems that it's kind of contrary to the whole gun control, gun confiscation, we hate gun violence, burn down the Second Amendment kind of crowd when you're fantasizing about putting 2 bullets in the skull of your political opponent. So Brady PAC withdrew their support. But not Everytown USA. In fact, they gave $200,000 to Jay Jones, and they've been completely silent about their endorsement of the man who wants to go on a killing spree using a gun, by the way. Although, interestingly, if you go to Jay Jones's website right now, the endorsement from Everytown USA, the gun control group, it disappeared. It's not there anymore. And there's nothing on Everytown's website about their endorsement of Jay Jones. They're trying to pretend like it never happened. Oh, he gets to keep the $200,000. Don't get me wrong. We still have to stop Republicans. We're just going to keep it quiet, just between us. These people are hypocritical jerks. That said, the Jay Jones scandal continues to grow. Remember last week when or was it earlier this week, when we talked about this story, I reminded you that the last time Jay Jones was in the news, he had been arrested for reckless driving and reckless endangerment and speeding for going 116 miles an hour on an interstate in Virginia. He got off with a pretty light sentence. He served 500 hours of community service to his own political action committee, not to a church, not to, disabled children, not to veterans, not to a hospital. He served 500 community service hours to help himself, literally self-serving. Well, we've now learned a little bit more about that crime and about that sentence and about the prosecutor's knowledge of the fact that the sentence involved him helping out his own political action committee. So let's turn to local WJLA Channel 7 in Washington, D.C., really Northern Virginia, reporter Nick Minnock.
If you were caught driving 46 miles an hour over the speed limit in Virginia, would you expect to face jail time or at the very least have your driver's license suspended or your driving privileges restricted? Those are the consequences many drivers in Virginia have had to face, but not Jay Jones. 7 News reviewed a dozen reckless driving cases in New Kent County, Virginia, where Jay Jones was convicted of reckless driving in 2022 for driving 116 miles an hour. Court records show one man was found guilty of driving 115 miles per hour and a 70 in New Kent County. He got 10 days in jail. His license was suspended for 6 months. He was fined $2,000. And once he got his license back, he could only drive to and from work. On the same day Jones received his sentence, a Woodbridge man was sentenced to 30 days in jail for driving 115 miles an hour in a 70. His sentence was suspended as long as he didn't speed again. The Woodbridge man's license was suspended for 6 months, then restricted, and he was fined $1,500. Another man was found guilty of reckless driving for driving 104 and a 70 in New Kent County. That earned him 20 days in jail, a 6-month license suspension, and a $1,250 fine.
This is incredible reporting, and some of the best reporting that you'll see in this country is not in Washington, D.C. or New York City, the two biggest media dominant capitals of the country. No, it's like this: local reporters doing local investigative work. Think about it. Think about all of the reporters in Washington, D.C., the free press crowd, right? The First Amendment crowd, the Speak Truth to Power crowd, and Trump didn't do mean tweets about CNN because we're the fourth estate and we're trying to protect you from, and we speak truth to power against these elected, and not one of them care about this story. I mean, they do care about this story. They care about it in that they're worried that it's going to hurt their guy, the Democrat, Jay Jones, from winning elections. So they're ignoring the story. They're literally ignoring the story. NBC News spent 66 seconds on the story of Jay Jones's despicable, murderous fantasy texts. ABC, CBS, and PBS, they spent no time on it. That's from research from the Media Research Center. Our guys over there at Newsbusters did the research. In fact, the NBC News 60 seconds that was spent on it, it only happened because Mark Short was on the panel on Meet the Press, and he brought it up, not Kristen Welker, the host. That's what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now. It's a super easy story to follow, this part of it. Anyone else get convicted of this same crime, what was their penalty? Seems like they all got harsher penalties than Jay Jones, the man who wants to be the attorney general of the state and enforce the law on the rest of us peons. Watch the rest of the story.
Jones, a former Virginia lawmaker, served no jail time for driving 116 miles an hour and a 70 on Interstate 64. He paid a $1,500 fine. His driving privileges were not impacted, and he got 1,000 hours of community service. The Richmond Times-Dispatch reports Jones completed those 1,000 hours, equal to 25 weeks of full-time work in just 1 year. Half of those hours were put in working for his own political action committee, called Meet Our Moment. moment. 7 News confirms the PAC is registered with the Virginia Board of Elections and is not a nonprofit charitable organization. And the person who provided confirmation Jones put in 500 hours of community service at the PAC was one of his own employees. The other 500 hours of community service, according to the Times-Dispatch, were served at the NAACP Virginia State Conference, where he worked on a lawsuit the organization filed against the Youngkin administration. 7 News asked Jones and his PAC Meet Our Moment for a more detailed description of what he did during those months of community service. We have not received a response. Nick Minock, 7 News.
Amazing, isn't it? It's almost like there's two standards of justice. It's almost like some people have the law applied to them with one set of rules, and the other group of people have the law applied to them with another set. Do you notice a theme for today's program? And again, I want to remind you, this guy wants to be the next attorney general, and not one Democrat in the entire state of Virginia has withdrawn their support from him, because as bad as he might be, as despicable as his behavior may be, he's still better than a Republican. Tim Kaine. I've known him for 25 years, since he was 11 years old. It's funny. I wonder, when Tim Kaine says that he's known him for 25 years, is it possible that Tim Kaine is confusing him with Tiger Woods? I'm just throwing it out there. He is kind of the dollar store version, right? Meanwhile, Abigail Spanberger, who's running for governor of Virginia, she put out a 2-line, what he said was terrible and he should take responsibility. I love it. She says he should take full accountability, and then doesn't ask him to step down from the race, doesn't ask him to do anything. What exactly does accountability look like, ma'am? You want to lead the state? You want to be the governor? Winsome Sears is the Republican nominee, and she had plenty to say about it.
You think an apology does the trick? Is that good enough for Jay Jones?
Of course not. Of course it doesn't. And by the way, he's doubling down, because no sooner than he sent that out, the so-called apology, he was right back to, well, Trump this, Trump that, and it's a Trump faction that's really enforcing this and trying to get him out of the race, and Trump and more Trump. This man, as we would say in the Marine Corps, is not fit for office. He is not fit to move to the next rank. And by the way, neither is my opponent. That's why we need to continue to have in office my running mate, Attorney General Jason Yares. We need someone who is of character. Jason has already proved himself to be a circumspect man. He considers the law. He has represented us in the courts. We don't need anyone who needs on-the-job training. And Jay Jones, with his murderous comments, we can't have him. He can never be Attorney General.
And quite honestly, Lieutenant Governor, it's a low bar. It's a low bar as a civilization to ask that our public servants don't fantasize about murdering their political opponents.
Yeah, it is a low bar, but that's who the Democrats are right now. They're the low par political party. That's what they stand for, because at this point, they're so consumed with Trump derangement syndrome that they will excuse anything. And by the way, anytime you raise things like this and say this is outrageous, it's despicable, it's wrong, all they say is, oh, but Trump says mean things. Yeah, you're right. He does. First of all, by the way, if your answer to all of this is, well, we're no different than Trump, then fine. Can I have the last 10 years of my life back? Okay, number one. But number two, funny, I don't ever remember Donald Trump suggesting that a Democrat get 2 bullets in the head. I'd be more than willing to have you remind me of that if that happened, but I'm pretty sure it never did. They have this, Trump derangement syndrome has a lot of different symptoms. One of them is making up crap that Trump has said or done, or suggesting that the most vile, reprehensible thing you can find is not as bad as Donald Trump. That's why it's so easy to call him Hitler. Jay Jones, by the way, who wants to be the Attorney General, who got a slap on the wrist and was not punished the same way an ordinary citizen of Virginia would be punished for reckless driving and reckless endangerment. The man who sent murderous fantasy texts to someone, unwanted, by the way. He sent them to this woman by accident. He meant to send it to somebody else. Love to see those text messages, by the way, to the guy he really intended it to. And when the woman said, please stop sending me these texts, he kept doubling and tripling down and pressing the issue. and making her incredibly uncomfortable. I wonder if there's a Me Too situation in his closet. We'll look for that. But yeah, that guy who wants to be the attorney general, it turns out has never actually tried a case in court single-handedly as the lone lead counsel. I mean, is he like the Des Moines superintendent? Does he even have a law license? Did he go to law school? Oh, something else about Jay Jones. Back in the day, he was real quick to tell people that they should drop out of races when he found their behavior reprehensible. Sadly, I don't know what got tweeted out by the person at 4 Hans, but apparently he was running for some office. Jay Jones didn't like it. And so he tweeted, "Hey, 4 Hans, you should drop out of the race and delete your account. Hate has no place in this Commonwealth, my friend." You're right. Hate has no place in Virginia. You really shouldn't say things that are hateful. And if you do and it's discovered, you should drop out of the race, Jay. Just taking your advice on this one, pal. The very latest on this, according to Axios, is that Jay Jones just canceled a campaign event without any explanation. And by the way, there's something about this story that should tell you something much bigger about what's going on behind the scenes with Jay Jones, because the event that he canceled was a private fundraiser in a supporter's home. It wasn't a rally. It wasn't something at a school. It wasn't some sort of outdoor event where he was meeting and greeting voters. No. It was a hand-selected, invite-only fundraising event in a private home, and he canceled that. That's more than just a red flag. That's like frickin' finale of Les Miserables red flag. I think he's in big trouble. I think he's losing support. It's also reported locally by Nick Minnock, the Channel 7 reporter you just saw earlier, that he has been calling elected officials all around the Commonwealth, asking them to keep supporting him and to come out publicly and voice their support. When you're doing that, you know you're about to lose support. See, but here's the thing about every single Democrat in Virginia, starting now, and mark it down. We're at 12:45 on Wednesday, October 8th. From this point forward, any Democrat, like Tim Kaine, who you just saw, or like Mark Warner, or like Abigail Spanberger, any Democrat who from this point forward comes out and says, "I disavow Jay Jones. I distance myself and remove myself from any association with him. I am withdrawing my endorsement, and I think Jay Jones should do the right thing and step down from this race." Any Democrat who does this from this point forward, we see you. We know what you're doing. You had the chance. You've had the chance since Friday to do that. And if you had done that, it would have been based on principles, based on values, based on integrity, based on morals, based on ethics. Do you know these words? You might want to look them up because they're kind of important here in our civilization. But if you do it now from this point forward, if you call on Jay Jones to resign now, I mean, what's changed, guys? The story is no different than it was Friday afternoon when it broke. What's changed? Well, we know what's changed. If you call on him to step out from this point forward, it's because you've done this. How's this story looking? How's it? Yeah, not so good. What's the polling on it? We had to wait about 5 days for the polling. What does the polling say? Is it hurting me? Is it hurting my prospects? Am I having trouble fundraising? Oh, I am. Oh, God. So it's really okay. So it is bad. Okay, I better say something. You're all cowards. You're all cowards, and you stand for nothing respectable, nothing that we can actually admire. You stand for power. You stand for winning at all costs. And you stand for everything that Jay Jones has said and done. You are the problem. We see you.